Hi again, Mark here from TalkingBass.net. This week I'm going to be showing you a really popular line that you can use for adding a bit of melodic interest to your bass playing. As always, just follow the link to TalkingBass.net below the video to download the tab and the backing track, and while you're there, take a look around and subscribe for free for a ton of exclusive bass resources, okay? So, as I said, the line that I'm going to show you is really popular, and it sounds like this. Now, I think the first time that I heard this used was by John Deacon of Queen, and he used it quite a lot, but it's not like he invented it or anything. It's used by loads and loads of players, and it instantly gives you an effective melodic fill. People like Pino Palladino use this line a lot on fretless, and it works especially well on fretless because you can slide that top note. So we'll have a look at the line itself and then apply it to a progression, which should help with you figuring out how best to apply it in your own playing. So first let's just work through that lick itself. So we'll start on a C, 3rd fret of the A string there, and let's just pretend that we're playing over a C major chord, okay? So we'll start there, C, as I say, 3rd fret of the A string, then we play the G at the 5th fret of the D string, so that's the root and the 5th, then we play the octave C there at the 5th fret of the G string, so far. And I'm playing the C down there on the A string with the 1st finger, 4th finger for the G, 4th finger for the C. So I'm kind of barring that 4th finger there across. I'm kind of doing this rocking technique with that joint. So that's a joint barring technique. So come across there like that. Then I just slide up to the D, 7th fret of the G string. Then back to the C, okay? So that's as much as we'll do to begin with. So C, G, C, D, and then back to the C there with the 1st finger. Okay, so that's the lick as far as we're going to go for now. So as a quick analysis of that line, we always analyse it in relation to the chord that we're playing over. So if we're playing over a C major chord, we've got the root note, so the 1st, then we've got the 5th, the G there, so we've got root, 5th, then the octave, so root, 5th, octave, then when we slide up, we're sliding up to the 9th. Now don't worry about the terminology, you know, this 9th, 11th, 13th kind of stuff. All that is it's the 2nd note of the scale up an octave, okay? So if you were to think of a C major scale, number the notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for the octave. If we carried on playing a 2-octave scale, so we just played it twice, so C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. When we get past that octave, if we carried on numbering, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, okay? That's all we're doing, just numbering the notes as we go up. The D up there is the 9th. That's all it is, okay? So we've got root, 5th, octave, 9th, and back to the octave there, the root note, so the C, okay? Now, the good thing about this line is that we're not using any thirds in there. So it doesn't matter whether we're playing over a major chord or a minor chord, because in a major and minor chord, it's the 3rd that tells you whether it's major or minor. So we're not including a 3rd in here, so we can use it either over either of those chords. So if we've got a C major chord, if it was a C minor, it doesn't matter because we're not using the 3rd, okay? So it's a really handy lick in this way. We can use it over any of those chords. The only chords that we're not going to be able to use it over would be anything with an altered 5th, so a diminished chord or an augmented chord or anything like that, or something where it's got some kind of modal thing going on and there's like a flat 9 in there, a flat 2nd. But for the purposes of this lesson, we don't have to worry about any of that. So we can just remember that you can use this lick over a minor chord or a major chord, it doesn't really matter. So now let's try applying it to a chord progression. So the chord progression that we're going to play through is a 2-5-1 in C major. So we're going to have the chords D minor, G7 and C major, or D minor 7, G7, C major 7. So it's 1 bar for the D minor, 1 bar for the G7 and 2 bars for the C major. So we can just play that lick, just moving it around, okay? So we start on the D. So it's that exact same pattern, just played from the D there. So 5th fret of the A string. So 5th fret of the A string, the D, then the A, 7th fret of the D string, then the 7th fret of the G string, the D again, slide up to the E, and back to the D. So like I said, exact same shape. So that's on the D. Then we take it down to the G. So G, D, G, A, G. 3rd fret of the E string, 5th fret of the A string, 5th fret of the D string, slide up to the 7th fret of the D string, and back to the 5th fret of the D string. And then to the C. And because we've got 2 bars of C, we'll play the lick twice. Okay, so you've already played it on C, that was the first example. So all together, D minor, G7, and C major. So now if we play that with the backing track. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the lick, so dead straightforward. Just a couple of little tips. When you play the slide, you have a choice. You can either play it very quick or a little slower, as you'll see. So if I was to play on the D there, I could either play it like this. So straight to the 9th there. So that's kind of like a grace note. So bon dum wah. So we don't linger on the octave there. So it's just a straight slide in. Or we can play it with a 16th note rhythm, bum bum ba ba bum, which would be like this. Notice the difference. So here it is with just the grace note, and here it is with the little 16th notes. One is bum bum wah bum, and the other one is bum bum ba ba bum. Okay. Okay, so either one works, it just depends what you're going for. Now the other thing that I'm doing here is I'm adding a little vibrato when I come back to the octave, just to give it, I don't know, a little bit of more melodic feel. So if I'm going to be playing the D, there's a bit of vibrato on there, just to make it a little bit more expressive. So if you've never played any vibrato before, all you have to do, and there's loads of different ways of playing vibrato, by the way, but just here, the way that I'm doing it is you just take that finger and just wiggle it up and down. So you just wiggle it across. So you're basically bending the string, but only a slight amount. So just on the note there. So I'm just holding it down and bending it slightly towards the D string. And then if you do it backwards and forwards like that with a certain rhythm, there you go, you get that vibrato sound. So there's loads of different ways of doing this, and you can also vary the speed of the vibrato. So some people might play, you know, very slow vibrato or very fast. You know, so for a lot of blues stuff, you'll get that kind of, you know, like a B.B. King kind of thing. You'll get a really fast vibrato or a very slow vibrato. Also, another thing that people do is that they will start with the note straight, so no vibrato, and then bring in the vibrato afterwards. So if I was to play a note like that, and then just a little bit after. And that's a much more vocal way of doing it. I mean, some vocalists do have, you know, really fast vibrato all the time. But if you listen to people that have got very controlled vibrato, they'll start a note and they'll hold it, you know, flat, no vibrato, and then bring the vibrato in. And it's much harder to do because obviously you've got to be able to hold that note dead. You know, you don't want it to be a dodgy note that you're holding. So it takes a lot more control. So you just bring it in afterwards. Either way, it's worth practicing vibrato, you know, just to give, to add expression and expressivity to your playing. So, okay, and it just adds that little feel. Without the vibrato, you can hear it's just straight there. And there's with a little bit of vibrato. So, add a bit of vibrato. Now, if you want to extend that line a little, we can very easily just drop back down through the fifth and the root note again, which sounds like this. Okay, so we're just extending the line. So when I do that, let's say I start on the D minor 7 again, so we start on the D, come back down to the octave just as we did before, but then I just drop down to the fifth and back to the root note. That's all it is. So we're just coming back down the way that we came up. And for the fingering, just to make it a little bit easier on yourself, I mean, because there's two ways you could do this. You could either come up and then just drop down to the fifth with the first finger and then the first finger again for the root note, but it's a lot of jumping around. So what you can do if you know you're going to do this before you play it, you can play up. So there I am on the first finger for the octave, and then I use the fourth finger to jump down for the fifth, and then the root note for the first finger for the root note. Okay, and that makes it a lot easier, really. I mean, you have to do the initial jump down, but it's a lot less jumping in the long run. So. Okay, so let's work through that chord progression again with the backing track using those drops. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you want to extend this line a little further, we could actually add the third in there, or the 10th, just to give it a bit of a different sound. So that line is going to sound like this. Okay, so we're adding an extra note in there. So if we start on the D minor, we come up just as we did before, then down to the fifth, so we've played the D, the octave there, we come down to the fifth, which is the 7th fret of the D string. Then we have to go up to the third. Now, this is where we have to know which chords we're playing over. So for a minor chord of any type, we're going to be using the minor third, and for a major chord or a 7 chord, like a dominant 7 chord, we're going to be using the major third. So for the D minor 7, we're going to want to use the minor third. For the G7 and the C major, we're going to be using a major third, okay? Now, don't worry about all the theory behind this. All it means is that you're going to be playing a note above the 9th, and it's either going to be 1 fret or 2 frets above. That's all it is. So we'll work through them and you'll get the hang of it once you've played through. So first of all, we work up, just as I said, down to the 5th, then up to the 3rd there. So that's going to be the 10th fret of the G string, the F, okay? Okay. And as per usual, the tab and everything, that's all in the lesson material, so be sure to download that. Just follow the link below. So we're hitting that third up there, so that's the minor third. So every time you see this on a minor chord, you know that it's just that half step or the fret above the 9th that we've just played. Now if we go to the G7, same line, we come up, back to the root note, down to the 5th, and then we come up to the B there, 9th fret of the D string. that's the major third. So you can see it's a major third from the root note there, the octave there, the G. So we've got the B. So this one is 2 frets above the 9th that we played. Okay, so that prepares you for coming up to it. If you know where the 9th is that you've just played, remember where it was. Then when you come back down to the 5th, you just go 2 frets above it. Simple. And then we take that exact same pattern and play it on the C. So this time we're playing the E there, 9th fret of the G string. Okay, so but like I said, this is all in the tab, so just download that. So let's try that with the backing track. 1, 2, 3, 4. So once you have that line under your fingers, you obviously don't just want to be putting it on every chord that you play, you know. It's just an exercise to help with getting your fingers around the notes and to get your ears used to the sound. The best way to use this line is sparingly, you know, for when you want to just jump forward in the mix a little and, you know, provide a little melodic interest. So using it at the end of a section or of a chord progression or something like that as a fill, that's always a good way to use it. But you know, there's loads of different ways to use it. So I'll just play through the chord progression and you can hear how that would sound. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So as I said, there's many ways of using this lick, and you just want to try and be tasteful and experiment with putting it in at different times. Eventually it'll become a part of your melodic vocabulary, and it's something that you can just use instinctively, you know, when it feels right. So remember to like this video and subscribe for regular updates and releases, and I'll see you next week. Okay?